Despite being one of the leading faces of the worst generation, a Eustass kid seems to have gotten the short end of the stick compared to Luffy and Law. Outside of the quick flashback image of young Eustass kid shown in the anime and the short cover story before Kid and Killer became pirates, he has not got a full fleshed out backstory within the story. Unlike Law, he has not received an entire arc that was dedicated to his character that the One Piece fandom can sink their teeth into. To top it off, many tag Kid as one of the most disappointing characters in the entire series, especially after his performance in Wano against Big Mom, as many believe Law is more important in that victory. Kid slander got even louder after getting one tapped by Shanks. Many of the fan base label him as a Eustass mid, but I think the question we got to ask is, where does he go from here? Because he is not dead, or at least I got to believe he is not dead, because I don't think Oda will kill off a character that seems to have a lot more story to tell. We really do not know much about Kid at all, outside of his tight relationship with Killer. There are still so many questions about why he was so fixated on going after Shanks than any other Emperor of the Sea. Like, from my viewpoint, it seemed personal for Kid, more than just getting your get back from past humiliation. There are many speculations and theories about what's next for Kid. For example, the theory that I really like is that Shamrock did something to Kid and that's why he's so obsessed with Shanks. That is something that I hope comes true, but nothing seems to be concrete, even that Shamrock, Shanks, and Kid theory, because it is kind of hard to predict what's next for Kid. To be honest, even though I wanted to do this video for a while, it was hard to figure out what could be next for Kid, until I thought about the essence of Kid's character. Something came to mind. Let's dive deep into it. As we know, Kid ran into Shanks at Elbaf and got one tap, and the Kid pirate is sinking in the sea from what we last saw. The question is, how or who will save Kid and his crew? From many thoughts, I think Basil Hawkins should be the person who saves them. I believe Hawkins is still alive. We actually never saw what happened to him after the Killer fight. I would not be surprised if Drake saved him or he escaped, right? You know, Green Bull captured King and Queen, right? Most likely, but we didn't see Hawkins nowhere, right? So it's highly likely that Hawkins escaped. Y'all know the motto: if you do not see the body, it is highly likely that person is still alive. Now, why would Hawkins save Kid? If you remember, Hawkins' biggest regret was betraying Kid and joining the Beast Pirates. This was expressed in Killer's words to Hawkins in their fight, and the words were getting to him. This would be a great way to bring back Hawkins in the story and redeem his character. Now, there might be a little bit of a bias here, can't lie, because Hawkins is one of my favorite Worst Generation members, but I do think this would make sense for the story and Hawkins' character, because Hawkins' reason for betraying Kid was the eyes of survival through the Terror Rock cards. But after seeing the defeat of Kaido, I believe Hawkins realized you cannot make decisions through fortune-telling cards and fate and stuff. You got to just go for it. Even with being saved by Hawkins, one thing I do know, just like Law, Kid needs to get stronger. Kid definitely needs a Haki bloom with his Conqueror's Haki, Armament Haki, and his Observation Haki. I also would say Kid needs to improve upon his Awakened Devil Fruit abilities along with the Haki bloom, just like Law. The question is, how does this happen for Kid? To be honest, this is a difficult question to answer for Kid, because unlike Law or Luffy, it is hard to find a top tier character in a story that has a connection to Kid, let alone be willing to teach Kid. If you really think about it, Kid seemed to not have any help throughout his whole journey. Luffy had Garp, Shanks, and Rayleigh to teach him. Law learned from Doflamingo and the Don Quixote family. Kid essentially had nobody from what we know so far about him. This would make sense because in Wano it seemed like he did not know anything about Haki at all. I say this all the time, Luffy is Kid without Shanks and Rayleigh, because Luffy would not know anything about Haki without Rayleigh, just like Kid right now. And Luffy would have been hurting civilians that made fun of his dream, just like Kid without Shanks. Shanks taught Luffy a valuable lesson that every fight is not worth fighting. This is the dilemma on why it was so hard to figure out what's next for Kid. Who would teach Kid? From what we know, Kid has nobody in the story that has the motive to do this for him. I thought about this for a while and came up with two theories. The first theory is to have one of the giants of Elbaf teach him. We know all the giants hate Big Mom. Kid is one half of the duo that took down Big Mom. So Kid would be loved by the giants, and it is not out of the possibility that Kid is somewhere on the shores of Elbaf right now. But there are two problems with this theory. Dory and Brogy are the ones that sunk the Victoria Punk. Dory and Brogy did this because Kid attacked their ally in Shanks, and to protect Elbaf from Kid. They felt Kid was a threat to Elbaf. You really could not blame them because Kid did come in guns blazing. So I would have to assume that all the strong giants on Elbaf see Kid as an enemy. Unless that information wasn't spreaded all over Elbaf, or Dory and Brogy didn't know that was Kid. The second problem, I don't know which giant is strong enough and also will be willing to teach Kid. Dory and Brogy are out just off the fact that they allied with Shanks and are the reason that the Victoria Punk sunk. Also, we know Elbaf is not the same place it used to be. The old times of Elbaf producing legendary warriors is a relic from the past. So there are not many super strong giants on Elbaf left, but there's one giant on Elbaf that goes against the grain. Now, I think this is a long shot, and honestly, I cannot see Loki actually training anyone. He just does not seem like the person that would train someone. But there is a small chance that Loki could train Kid, because there are some slight connections between the two. Kid and Loki both seemingly have some type of disdain for Shanks. Maybe they could bond over their hate for Shanks, especially if the theory of Kid having something personal against Shanks is actually true. This also seems like something Loki would do in spite of Shanks and Elbaf, because we know Loki hates Shanks, and we know Loki hates Elbaf's current peaceful world government allied culture. Just from my viewpoint on both Kid and Loki, they kind of have similar personalities and worldviews. Although I think this would be dope, I just do not see it happening because Loki does not seem like the type of character to train someone. There's also the fact that Loki is still in his prime. Luffy got trained by Outer Prime Rayleigh. I just cannot imagine a prime Loki wanting to train someone. But if Kid is supposed to be the opposite parallel to Luffy, maybe Kid gets a prime trainer. The only other person that is strong enough on Elbaf is Scopper Gaban, but I do not see him helping Kid as well. The second theory is no one helps Kid. Wait, hold up now. Before y'all trash on this theory, let me explain. This second theory just fits perfectly to who Kid is as a character. Think about it. Kid is a character that clawed his way to where he is right now with no help, no special lineage, and no D in his name. In the world of One Piece, Kid is not considered special. Instead, he's a man that made himself reach the levels of special by his own will. Even with the many failures, he continued to move forward up through the ranks of the pirate world without any special help. This right here is one of the best aspects of Kid's character. This is why I say no one should help Kid get stronger, because throughout his whole pirate life, nobody helped him along the way. And this right here is what makes him special. I truly believe letting Kid gain his Haki Bloom and his mastery of his Devil Fruit on his own would be awesome. This would be what makes Kid different from Luffy and Law. Just imagine Kid just comes back popping off with the found strength that he learned on his own. That would be fire in my opinion. I think this, along with giving him a backstory, would redeem him in the eyes of many fans. Kid's redemption arc is needed. In my opinion, it's a must. It should happen. It'll be a travesty if it doesn't. But this is just my opinion and the end of the video. So thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed it, please hit like and subscribe down below. If anything stood out to you or you have anything else to add, please let me know down below. Till next time, I'm out.